from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
Only on GB News.
Good evening, it's 9 o'clock. I'm Nana Acquare. Tonight.
There's an alternative to economic division, social division and the rise of racism in our society.
I'm so worried about Trump ruling the world. He's such a liability.
He's a sort of emblem of hope to white supremacists, to racists, xenophobes.
As Donald Trump heads back to the United States after a highly successful state visit, I'll ask, why does the loony left hate the leader of the free world? And
we hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them.
A top US talk show host has been cancelled for that comment. Surely free speech isn't under threat in the United States also on the way?
I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score.
Not everyone's happy that the Labour government's about to recognise the Palestinian state. Is he right that we're simply rewarding Hamas? And
on diversity, equality and inclusion roles, some of them have really lost their way.
6 months on from that comment by the Health Secretary, tens of millions of pounds being spent on DEI employees. And it's been claimed that they're actually sowing division in the health service. Also on the way.
For the very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order.
Woohoo! Hallelujah! Fair play to the Prime Minister. The so-called one-in, one-out deal with France is finally working. Yes, and we've managed to deport one small boat migrant. On my panel tonight, Conservative MP Esther McVey, former Labour advisor Matthew Laza and political commentator Chloe Dobbs. Your Thursday night starts here. Why do some people have such visceral hatred for Donald Trump? Next.
Very good evening to you. Back to Nana shortly. First, though, the headlines at 9 and breaking news in the last hour or so that an Eritrean man will be deported to France tomorrow after losing a High Court bid to block his removal under the government's one-in, one-out scheme. He arrived by small boat last month, but a judge ruled tonight there was no serious issue to be tried over his claims of being a trafficking victim. The court found his credibility was severely damaged after giving differing accounts of his journey through Europe. It follows the first migrant deported under the scheme this morning, an Indian man flown to Paris. Meanwhile, US President Donald Trump has urged Sir Keir Starmer to take a tougher line on illegal immigration, even suggesting military involvement. Speaking alongside the Prime Minister earlier, Mr Trump said uncontrolled migration destroys countries from within. He praised his own record, though, claiming the US went from millions crossing illegally to now zero.
It doesn't matter if you call out the military, it doesn't matter what means you use, but It's going to destroys countries from within. And we're actually now removing a lot of the people that came into our country. It's a very hard chore. We were given a very, very bad hand. Millions of people came in from prisons and mental institutions. We have to remove them. And we are removing them. We have no choice, and I feel very strongly about it.
And also at that press conference earlier, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, said Britain is fiercely protective of free speech, but there is a line, he says, when it incites real harm. He said freedom of speech is a founding value that the UK will always protect, but he stressed the limit is with those who peddle paedophilia and suicide to children online. GB News presenter Bev Turner pressed him on disagreements with Trump and raised concerns over reports of thousands of arrests each year under communications laws.
I draw a limit between free speech and the speech of those that want to peddle paedophilia and suicide social media to children, and therefore I'm all for free speech. I'm also for protecting children from things that will harm them, paedophiles, those that peddle suicide, which has had a terrible consequence for individual, particularly teenagers. And so that's the balance we strike.
Jeremy Corbyn's new political movement has reported itself to the Information Commissioner after what it called a false membership system, which launched, they say, without authorisation. The party, still branded Your Party, says data was collected and payments taken through a rogue portal promoted by Zara Sultana. Mr Corbyn has urged supporters to cancel any direct debit set up and warned legal advice is being taken. But Ms Sultana insists the site is, she says, safe, secure and legitimate, accusing colleagues of running what she described as a sexist boys' club and freezing her out. It's now the latest row in a rocky start for the fledgling left-wing party. UK interest rates have been held at 4%, with the Bank of England warning we're not out of the woods yet. Two members of the bank's 9-strong committee voted today for a cut, but the governor said any future moves must be gradual and cautious. The bank expects inflation to fall back to 2%, though food costs remain stubbornly high. All eyes, of course, now turn to Rachel Reeves' budget in November, with pressure mounting over Britain's growing debt bill. 3 people have been arrested in Essex today on suspicion of spying for Russia, the Met Police confirmed earlier. A 41-year-old man, 46-year-old man and 35-year-old woman were detained. All 3 arrested under the National Security Act on suspicion of assisting a foreign intelligence service. Later, though, released on conditional bail. Counter-terror police say foreign recruitment in the UK is on the rise, echoing warnings from MI5 about Russia's GRU using proxies for sabotage and arson. And returning briefly to news with Donald Trump, he has now doubled down on attacks against late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, calling him on Air Force One just moments ago a whack job and suggesting TV networks could have their licences revoked. Speaking on the return to Washington, he praised the American regulator's chairman as outstanding and said it would be up to him whether licences are taken away. The row comes after ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely following the comedian's remarks about the political activist Charlie Kirk's killing. Mr Trump has welcomed the decision, but Democrats accused him of abusing power and threatening free speech. Well, in the last few moments, former President Obama has also waded into the debate, condemning the suspension, warning it's, quote, dangerous government coercion against the media. That is the news on GB News. I'll be back for an update at 10. Now, though, it's over to Nana.
Why do some people have such visceral hatred for Donald Trump?
So there's an alternative to economic division, social division and the rise of racism in our society. It's unusual to have a second state visit to the same person. Very strange, and he's not actually meeting anybody on this trip. He's just a choreographed visit for the benefit of American television. We're showing us a few people here that would like to tell him something different.
Well, that was Jeremy Corbyn, who very recently launched, I think it's called Your Party, which seems to be collapsing before it's even started. And then GB News spoke to this guy.
Because I'm so worried about Trump ruling the world. He's such a liability, so unstable. I mean, the man's deranged. I'm more worried about Trump than I'm about Putin.
What? He's worse than Putin? Really? Oh, and here's Comedian Nish Kumar having his say.
He's a sort of emblem of hope to white supremacists, to racists, xenophobes, and, you know, frankly, to the richest people on the planet who are exploiting hatred and division stirred up by people like Trump in order to continue to propagate a system that's created the problems that people like him blame on immigrants, migrant communities and refugees and asylum seekers.
Really? So are you saying that you'd rather have this lot?
We're marching because the most powerful man in the world says it's okay to sexually assault women because he is rich and powerful, and we say no way. We're marching because we want no girl to ever lower her sights, be limited in her life because she sees her value of her life through Donald Trump's eyes.
That was our hypocritical former Home Secretary, now Foreign Secretary, Yvette Cooper, who appears to have conveniently changed her principles as she finds herself glued to President Trump's hand this week. And let's have a look at our new Secretary of Justice and Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy.
Who acceded to the English throne at the age of 9 on the death of his father, Henry VIII, in 1547?
Henry VII.
Edward VI.
God help us. And here is our Energy Secretary, Ed Miliband.
The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind.
And there's the former leader of the House of Commons, Lucy Powell.
I don't know whether you saw the documentary on Channel 4 about rape gangs over
No,
this.
we want to blow that little trumpet now, do we? Yeah, okay.
There was a real issue.
Let's get that dog whistle out, shall we? Yeah.
And, of course, the very recently rejected US Ambassador Peter Mandelson.
American president who is little short of a white nationalist and racist. Even those who have a sneaking admiration for Donald Trump because of the strength of his personality, nonetheless regard him as reckless and a danger to the world.
How about our strong and stable Chancellor of the Exchequer, Rachel Reeves?
And may I take this opportunity to thank our outstanding British Transport Police for everything that they do to support staff and passengers.
I've crashed the economy. And finally, the former Deputy Prime Minister, who also struggles to keep it together.
I spoke to my family about it. I spoke to my ex-husband, who has been an incredibly supportive person, because he knows that all I've done is try and support my family.
Would you really have that lot rather than a man who's trying to stop wars?
Thank you for invitation, and thank you very much for your efforts, personal efforts to stop killings and stop this war.
A man who's also fixed his own country's broken economy.
The United States, as you probably have heard, is doing better than it has ever done in terms of business and investment. The stock market has hit a new high, as you know, and that's for many, many days out of our fairly short 8 months. And we seem to be hitting new highs, and I think we're going to do much better even as time goes by. Jobs are at a record.
After a disastrous 14 months, which has seen this Labour government hemorrhage money and support and show complete contempt for the British public, I know who I'd rather have as leader. Well, let's get through my thoughts of my panel. So joining me now, Conservative MP Esther McVeigh, political commentator Chloe Dobbs and former Labour advisor Matthew Larzer. Right, well, it's so nice to be with you this evening.
Good evening.
Right, let's start Esther McVeigh.
Oh, yes.
So many people, why do they hate Donald Trump so much?
Well,
when in such a short space of time he's achieved so much?
Well, to be fair, I didn't think there was that many people protesting. There was like 5,000 people. You might say it's a lot, but if you think of the Unite the Kingdom, all against pretty much Keir Starmer, a minimum number was 150,000, and you've got like 1 million people wanting another general election to get rid of Starmer. So I didn't think it was that many. But who did come out were like the hard left. You've shown that. You've shown Corbyn, you've Zara Sultana, the new leader of the Green Party. And so what do I think it is? First of all, he does get things done, Trump, and he says what he's going to do. And so far, like, for example, immigration, Keir Starmer has done the square root of 0 to stop illegal migration, and actually Trump has done a lot. He's now stopped it. So he gets things done. So I think most people in the UK would say, actually, we do want somebody who gets something done. So I think there's that. And then I just think that for other people, really, they just need to think, really, we do need somebody like Trump to be the president of the United States, because how much does he like the UK? He went on and on and on, didn't he, to the King, how wonderful it is, what a great relationship is. And let's think who we've had in the past. Biden didn't like us. Barack Obama didn't really like us. So those people who don't like him, they need to say, actually, we need him for president for as long as we can have him.
Matthew Lauser, I mean, are you a Trump supporter? Do you think Trump's good? Have you sort of changed your mind about him?
Well, I haven't. I mean, to be fair to those government ministers who have changed their mind, they've done so because they are now serving the country and therefore they are gritting their teeth at times. Look, to be fair to Trump, I thought he handled the last 48 hours well. I thought the press conference today was perfectly reasonable. I don't particularly... I've not felt the need to go out and protest alongside the usual suspects, but that doesn't mean that I'm a fan of Trump. And I'm in the majority of the British people there, because about 70+% of the British people disapprove of him.
Yeah, it's a large amount of people, but if you compare them to the politicians that we have in this country and the way our politicians are behaving, Chloe, I know who I'd rather have, quite simply.
I think that regardless of where you lie politically, you've got to at least have a little bit of respect for the fact that Donald Trump does what he says he's going to do. Of course, there have been some things, like with the wars, where he's had some teething problems, it's not quite gone to plan, but on things like immigration and whatnot, he's just gone for it and done what he says he's going to do. Unlike Keir Starmer, where people just have no idea what he stands for and they've broken all of their promises. I think the reason why you've got potentially 70% of the British public disliking Donald Trump is because, well, I blame the mainstream media. Most people in the UK, they're not as invested in US politics enough to read beyond a few headlines. And what do they see on the headlines? They see, oh, this guy's a fascist, this guy's a misogynist, this guy's a racist. And so they just take that as fact. And I'm really frustrated to see that...
He's a convicted criminal.
Isn't it civil?
Yes, but so was he convicted of it was a civil case of a sexual assault charge, effectively, or sexual discrimination. I mean, I don't know what the exact US phrase is, but that's one of the reasons people don't like him.
I think that number has significantly changed. I think first term that he was in office, there was lots of British people who said, we don't like him, it was a bit extreme, he was outspoken, all of these things. Now, I think, actually, they look at him, like him or not, they say, but we want somebody who's actually going to achieve something. They look at Starmer and this terrible Labour government. And we know, don't we, the approval ratings are minus 61% for the Labour government.
They could be better, for sure.
Unheard of. And for Starmer, unheard of, minus 50%. So I think it's swirling. I think people are saying, oh, my goodness, we thought we didn't like him, but actually things are so bad. You might need somebody as powerful, in a way, as Trump.
I think people admire his ability to get things done, whether they admire his ability to break all the rules sometimes in doing so. And I think that, look, you singled out immigration there, and I think that is what chimes. That, you know, frankly, whether it's the last government or this government on immigration, the British people are now so cynical.
And energy. He said, I've brought down energy
They're actually going up again, he did say.
And inflation, I've brought it down. Unlike this government, call it drill, baby, drill. He's very good at sort of short, sharp phrases that catches everybody's attention. And what has this government done? Made them the most expensive you could possibly get them. 4 times industrial American prices. No, I think most of our population would say, do you know what, I think we do need somebody more like a Trump. I don't agree with his tariffs. I don't agree with things he said about Ukraine. I get that, but other things he is doing.
Yeah, I mean, I think the British public are just crying out for a government that does something. I mean, when the Labour government came in, sure, I did not vote for them, but I thought,
Esther, you shouldn't laugh.
It wasn't
just the very words.
I was a Tory ideologically for years, but then I saw that they weren't really following through on what they were saying, even though I agreed with it. And I thought, even though I don't agree with Labour, even though their policies, some of them are going to be left-wing, at least they might do something rather than just argue and have constant leadership elections. But then they proved to be the same as the rest of them. So hence you have got some people who were previously Labour voters now switching to vote for Reform, because even if they don't completely agree with them, they think these guys seem like they've got a bit of tenacity and they have been inspired by Trump and they might actually get something done.
Even actually if it's not on the Trump agenda, even if it was something that was on more of a Labour agenda, but it's getting something done that I think people want.
To be fair, that sort of white working class Labour vote are furious over immigration because they see it as fundamentally unfair. There they are paying the rates, paying the mortgages, paying for food, paying for energy prices, and these people who've come in illegally are getting it all for free. It's that, and it's also crime. It's huge, and if you're in some of those areas where you are impacted severely by crime, not like the Labour Party and anybody who is part of that metropolitan elite that is living in its, breathing its own rarefied air, who don't know, and that is why most of the northern Labour votes are now going to vote for Reform.
Do you know, I think that Keir Starmer heard my monologue the other day because he's saying that he's going to detain people who come via small boat. Does he mean all of them?
You might end up in the cabinet.
No, it's full of tools. Cabinets are full of tools.
Well, he talks the talk all the time.
His father was a toolmaker.
He talks the talk all the time, but he never walks the walk. I mean, every day you just check his Twitter account and there's a hilarious tweet where it's quite clear that he's just gone on ChatGPT each day and said, what can I tweet to sound like Nigel Farage today? And he's like, yeah, we're going to stop the boats, we're going to detain and deport you if you come here across on a small boat. It's just all lies. The facts show that...
The one in, one out, what a load of nonsense it isn't. It's one out, one in, or nout out, because all you're doing is one goes and then France sends you one, and then you've got all of the others coming in. It is just, they just con people. It's all words.
It's all words. It's all words. Words don't come easy, but these are some more words because it's time for the Great British Giveaway. Your chance to be the biggest winner to date, a package worth £104,000. The prize could be yours. Take a look.
It's our biggest, greatest Great British giveaway to date. Your chance to win a prize package worth over £104,000. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primero motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas, sky view roof light, and has all the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure any adventures in your motorhome are taken in style.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Yes, good luck indeed. Still to come on tonight's show, as the Prime Minister pledges to recognise Palestine as a state, could this scupper his supposedly special relationship with the Donald Trump administration? But next...
Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago.
I love it! As top US comedian Jimmy Kimmel's long-running talk show is axed after criticism of the White House and Charlie Kirk, is free speech now under threat in the United States, or does he deserve everything he gets? This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Acquia, only on GB News.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/yoursay. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/yoursay, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation, isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back,
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
and we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Nana Akweer, for an informative, interactive news programme with a difference. It's fun. No, he didn't say that, Dave. I'm so surprised.
I think there's an element of truth to that.
Join me from 3 p.m. every weekend, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
At GB News, we are proud to stand for you, for the Britain you love, for the communities you live in. That's what makes us the fearless champions of Britain. Its voices and its values. Because we, at GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live starts Monday night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
Britain was once the envy of the world. But look around. A nation that no longer knows what it is or where it's going. A country that's broken. How do we fix Britain? How do we bring it back? Friday night with Matt Goodwin at 8 p.m.
only on GB News.
Good evening, this is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akweer. And it's time now for our head-to-head. So one of America's biggest talk show hosts, a guy called Jimmy Kimmel, has been cancelled over his comments on Charlie Kirk's death. After nearly 23 years of hosting his own show, Jimmy Kimmel Live, US broadcaster ABC, pulled the plug after he said this.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from it.
Well, President Donald Trump said the decision to ditch Charlie Kimmel was great news for America and dismissed claims that it was a free speech issue.
Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you know, you can call that free speech or not. He was fired for lack of talent.
Well, joining me now to debate this is comedian Jojo Sutherland and Chief Executive of Turning Point UK, Jack Ross. Right, let's do this. So, Jojo, President Donald Trump said that Jimmy Kimmel's ratings were sliding, and actually that's why he was fired. What are your thoughts on this?
I think President Trump doesn't have a sense of humour. I thought it was an absolutely brilliant, following the bit about who the boy was MAGA, was the response from President Trump when asked about his emotions following the death of Charlie Kirk. And it was the most bizarre response that President Trump gave about the construction of a ballroom. So the fact that then Jimmy Kimmel very perfectly executed a satirical joke about the 5 stages of grief and number 4 being construction. It was, in terms of from a comedic point of view, superb. So I don't know if we're coming after free speech or if we're actually coming up after clever comedy.
Maybe the channel just had enough of his gag, and if his ratings were sliding. But what about, it was a bit tasteless though. Jack, your thoughts?
Well, as Charlie Kirk, our founder, said, Jimmy Kimmel simply isn't funny. The piece which has offended people and got everyone up in arms is the fact that Kimmel tried to undermine the narrative that words have consequences. Charlie was killed because people branded him a Nazi and a fascist, and he was killed by someone who's a self-described anti-fascist. By Kimmel saying it was the MAGA gang who did this, it was a complete abuse of his position, speaking to people who often aren't on social media, people who only watch cable TV. He fed them a false narrative, and that's why he was fired. In terms of the humour, the Trump joke afterwards, is it a bit soon to be joking about Charlie's death? Yes, but that's not something which is why people are calling for him to be cancelled. They're calling for him to be cancelled because he abused his position as a comedian to push a false political narrative.
Jojo, you must see that if someone gets on stage and does that, that sort of turns comedy into a bit of a political game. And I guess comedy is political in many ways. Is that fair?
Well, I'm from Scotland, and one of our most famous exports is someone called Frankie Boyle, who takes very extreme political viewpoints and takes them into the middle and dissects them. And that is what comedy does. I think we're moving away from what comedy actually represents, which is to rise above whatever the political divide is, and to take our observations, take it apart, a bit like a Rubik's Cube, and make fun of it. That is the whole point of satire, the whole point of comedy, is to hold a mirror up to ourselves and take a joke.
Do you think he was, Joe, do you think he was actually fired because of his bad ratings and just that people didn't think he was funny and this was a good chance for ABC to try and get rid of him? Or do you think that there was a deeper point there and it was because of kind of what he said and more a free speech issue?
I think given the climate that we live in, yeah, I think people are cowards. And if his ratings have been falling, then that might just have been the excuse for the channel, the network, to use something else as a distraction or an excuse. But whatever the reason, whoever pulled the plug or what, he was on air and taken off air. There's probably much more to the story, as there always is. We always get a snippet, we always get a slight extract, or we get a slightly sort of polarised view. But I think we've really hit the depths of depression if we are taking ourselves this seriously. And the whole point of humour, especially in a world that is so fragile and fractious at the moment, that to then now come after people whose job it is. That is their job. And we go down the mines, where the canaries down the mine, we go to the line of what can be sometimes acceptable. Sometimes we get it wrong. Maybe in some people's opinions, Jimmy Kimmel got it wrong on this occasion. But if you want comedy in our lives, and we need comedy in our lives, because without it, we are absolutely screwed, then carry on doing what we're doing and cut out humour out of your life. And then we really, really will be miserable, folks.
But Jack, you'd be one of the first people to talk about freedom of speech, and you said it wasn't really a free speech issue. But the fact that he said something that seemed a bit tasteless and he was weaponising the language in a way should be part of free speech, right? So I know I think it was ill-timed, ill-judged. It was pretty tasteless for somebody to be making those kind of gags. I personally think that. But in a world where we allow free speech, surely there shouldn't really be punishment in that way for him for that.
So Jack, I would say, like any ideology, free speech absolute. I would say free speech absolutism only works in the perfect world, like every political ideology. The problem we have is we're pushing for free speech for individuals who want to take away our free speech. Kimmel, again, is perhaps one of the more liberal examples, but he called for the impeachment of Trump several times. He called for other people to be shut down historically. And we have to think, by giving people like Kimmel and saying he must have absolute free speech whilst calling for our free speech to be censored, we kind of shoot ourselves in the foot. So this is why we won't stand up for people who are ardent leftists, who are people who want to criticise. And actually, if someone like Kimmel, as I said, making the comment about it was a Republican who shot Charlie Kirk when it clearly wasn't, this is actually encouraging violence, because it's not getting people to look at the realities of the shooting and the motivations for the shooter. So he's actually, what he's saying is quite dangerous. It moves past comedy and it moves towards trying to actually shut down methods of tackling political violence.
But then it could be seen that, OK, he got it wrong, or he's making a joke, or he was a bit of satire, not funny at all. But having said that...
Because
yeah, exactly.
Comedy's subjective. So what you think's funny and what I think's funny, we might disagree. Neither of us are wrong. Neither of us are wrong about who finds what funny, because comedy is subjective. And everybody's sensibilities are different as well. So you always have to remember that people react very badly to something that is personal to them or for their personal. If somebody else makes a joke about something that has no effect on their particular life, very funny. It happens all the time that people will protest against a joke because they personally found it offensive, but they will laugh at other jokes that other people will find offensive because it doesn't have a personal influx into them. So I think we're all becoming very precious, and I like I say, I can't reiterate enough. If you are a comedian and that is your job, to take and make Mickey jokes out of things politically and satirically, then that comes with the territory. So yeah, just ban all comedians from television and be done.
But very briefly, Jack, do you think we're turning into, OK, well, if the majority, if we agree with you, that's OK, but if we don't agree with you, then we need to kind of shut you down in some way because you wouldn't allow us to do it, so we need to do it to you. So aren't we, in the end, turning into exactly the very thing we're trying to stop?
So free speech does have limits. If we're allowing people who are calling for the end of our, only going to result in us losing our free speech. What I'd say about Kimmel is some people might be upset because of his joke, but the issue is it's the narrative, it's the abuse of positions. And I think everyone is fed up with these celebrities going on stage, being given a role to be a comedian or to present an award, and then going off on a political tangent, ranting about the climate or ranting against Trump, or even just fabricating and pushing an agenda like Kimmel's done here. If you, for example, had come on tonight and made up the news, you'd lose your job. That's why Kimmel's lost his job. It's not a free speech thing. He went on and pushed a false political conspiracy theory, and now he's been sacked. Free speech 100%, but actions have consequences.
All right, listen, I've got to leave it there. Jack Ross from Executive.
Comedy, it's exaggeration, it's storytelling. That's the whole point, is an exaggeration. It's a complete storytelling. It can be fabrication. It can be all.
How is saying a Republican killed Charlie Kirk a joke?
The news has to be factual. Of course it does. The news has to be factual. Comedy doesn't. Comedy can be a pack of lies from start to end.
All right, well, listen, we'll leave it there. We'll leave it there. Jojo Sutherland and Chief Executive of Turning Point UK, Jack Ross, thank you so much for your thoughts. Right, it's 25 minutes after 9. Free speech was one of the main topics, actually, at today's press conference with Sir Keir Starmer and Donald Trump. Here's the moment when GBNews presenter Bev Turner put the Prime Minister on the spot.
Having been in DC for a few weeks, it's really interesting to see how you run the country as a proud Christian leader. And it really begs the question to the Prime Minister, if you don't mind, are we still a Christian country? But also...
when you say we, are you talking here or...?
Here. The UK. I'm still British. I might live in America, I'm still British. But also...
I can't give you that answer.
That's for the Prime Minister. But also, despite what we talked about in Scotland a few weeks ago, we still have 12,000 people a year here being arrested for social media posts, for free speech violations. Does that not remain an important area that there is still a lot of disagreement on?
I'd like to have you answer that.
Yeah, look, I mean, in terms of a Christian country, I was christened, so that is, my church has been all my life, and we are, that is wired into our informal constitution. Of course, we celebrate many other faiths as well, and I'm really proud that we're able to do so as a country. And on free speech, that has long lived in this country, free speech. It's one of the founding values of the United Kingdom, and we protect it jealously and fiercely, and always will, and we will bear down on any limits on free speech.
Two words, Lucy Connolly. Later this hour, as a black paramedic slams disastrous DEI policies whilst workers request not anonymity for speaking out against critical race theory, and men with cancer are asked whether they could be pregnant. What the hell has happened to our NHS? But next.
I have a disagreement with the Prime Minister on that score.
Donald Trump's not happy with the Prime Minister's pledge to recognise Palestine as a state. Could this scupper Sir Keir Starmer's supposedly special relationship with the US President? This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akua, only on GB News.
Be nice to escape the grey.
Clear skies, here we come.
As clear as our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
A northerly breeze bringing a slightly cooler feel to some of the Greek islands for the next day or so. Meanwhile, in the Canaries, temperatures above average, over 30 degrees through Friday and Saturday. One or two showers over northern Spain, but most of the beaches dry, fine and sunny, and some lovely sunshine to be had across Italy. Sunny in Greece. As I said, there is a bit of a breeze blowing. Temperature will be rising in Santorini as we go through the weekend. At the same time, we'll see those temperatures dropping off a bit in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations Forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Whilst tomorrow is going to be quite warm and humid across parts of the southeast, a bigger talking point perhaps is a stalling band of rain that's going to continue to linger across some parts of northern England and parts of Wales, all due to this trailing front that's going to hang around for a little while yet. So outbreaks of rain overnight across, yes, northern England, parts of North Wales, pushing into some southern parts of Scotland as well. There will also be a bit more rain over northern parts of Scotland too, but elsewhere actually a lot of dry weather, some clear skies as well. Towns and cities, yes, generally holding up in the mid-teens Celsius, but some rural spots could just about dip into single figures. And then through tomorrow morning, a bit of a damp start across some parts of Scotland, the far north for example, but that rain and the more blustery winds will be clearing away through the morning. Then a few showers across western Scotland, but many places starting the day dry here. Similar across Northern Ireland. However, southern parts of the borders area and also northern parts of England a bit wet with some outbreaks of rain, and similar across parts of northwest Wales. Elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, it's a largely dry start and there will be some decent sunshine around as well. And then we end up with this sort of three-way split in our weather. Still this trailing, lingering front across parts of northern England, southern Scotland and the far tip of northwest Wales, and that rain could pep up at times as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere it's looking largely dry, often bright and sunny, and in the southeast pretty humid with temperatures peaking around 26 or 27 Celsius. That front continues to linger in a similar area as we go through into Saturday, although it will have pushed a little bit more across parts of central and southwestern England and across much of Wales. High rainfall totals building up. Some places could see up to 100 millimetres, so some impacts as a result of that. The more unsettled weather does clear away as we go through into Sunday and Monday, so things drier by then.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK,
we're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You had the power then.
Yeah, as I
and
say,
now you've lost it.
That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless.
But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show.
Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akua. Now to an issue that has caused huge friction between the UK and the US governments. There are widespread reports that Britain will formally recognise Palestine as a state this weekend, despite huge opposition from Donald Trump. Sir Keir Starmer didn't deny the story earlier today, and here's what he said when he was asked if it was just a gesture politics.
a plan for peace, which we're working hard on, which not only did we discuss this morning, but our two teams have been working together on, that the question of recognition needs to be seen. And so it's part of that overall package which hopefully takes us from the appalling situation we're in now to the outcome of a safe and secure Israel, which we do not have, and a viable Palestinian state. Thank you.
Well, I'm joined by Telegraph columnist Jake Wallace-Simons. Jake, why is this such a sticky issue? Palestine wants to be recognised as a state. What does that mean, and what will it enable them to get?
Well, nothing really, to be honest. It's just, like you said before, it's gesture politics from the UK, and it's nothing more than a means to bring pressure upon Israel. Don't forget, Keir Starmer threatened to recognise a Palestinian state a few weeks ago unless Israel withdrew unilaterally from Gaza, leaving its hostages in the Hamas dungeons and allowing Hamas to remain in control of Gaza. In this way, he was throwing British support behind the war aims of Hamas and putting pressure on Israel to lose the war. And of course, inevitably, as soon as he made that announcement, Hamas were jubilant. They congratulated him. And if you're getting congratulations from the very jihadis who kidnapped British citizens on October the 7th and who killed British citizens on October the 7th and thereafter, I think you've got a very big problem indeed.
But he also condemned Hamas, so he said that Hamas will have no part in any government, didn't he? So on the one hand, he's not directly supporting them, but what he's actually saying is that they are terrorists, they'll have no say in what happens, but at the same token, he wants Israel to pull out of Gaza.
Well, he said that they are terrorists, that's right, and he condemned them and said they would have no part in the Palestinian future. But by his policy, he supported the aims of those very terrorists. I mean, he, in an extraordinary move, he gave them every incentive not to stop fighting, because there was a position where he said that unless Israel withdraws and the war stops, then we will recognise a Palestinian state. That meant that Hamas were incentivized to keep the war going, not to release the hostages. And in fact, the American ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, revealed recently that that Hamas were poised to agree to a ceasefire and hostage release deal. But then when the UK and other Western countries said that they would recognise a Palestinian state if the war continued, they said, right, we're not going to do the deal anymore. We're going to carry on fighting and keep hold of the hostages because obviously we're winning in the court of international opinion. And so in this way, really, Keir Starmer is rewarding Hamas's strategy. They use a human sacrifice strategy of trying to get as many civilians killed on camera as possible to influence the hearts and minds of the West in order to get their support. And that seems to be working with our gullible Prime Minister.
All right, well, Jake Wallace-Simons, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. Let's get the thoughts of my panel. Joining me today, Conservative MP Esther McVey, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and also former advisor to the Labour Party, Matthew Larser. Matthew, what do you think of that?
So, look, I mean, I think everybody, is absolutely adamant that the hostages need to be released. So I think we need to say that right at the beginning. I think it is the right thing to do to recognise the Palestinian state. It isn't instantly going to create a Palestinian state because, not least the war continues and the actual road to Palestinian statehood is a pretty long and complicated one. But I believe in a two-state solution. I believe that Israel is doing the wrong thing at the moment in the Gaza Strip. Understandable motives, wrong thing, which actually I think is ultimately damaging to Israel. But more than that, I've always believed in a two-state solution, and basically most people in British politics have. This is one step along that road.
All right, Matthew Larser, thank you very much. We'll come back to the panel on that in just a moment. But coming up, with Donald Trump branding himself and Sir Keir Starmer as forever friends, so that's nice, I'll ask if the reinforcement of their special relationship has been enough to save the Prime Minister's skin, or is skirting round the questions on the tip of the public's tongue the sure sign of the same old Starmer. But next.
On diversity, equality and inclusion roles, some of them have really lost their way.
That's what the Health Secretary Wes Streeting told GBNews 6 months ago. But next, I'll tell you why DEI is alive and kicking in the NHS and causing serious harm. This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akwe, only on GB News.
Welcome back to Britain's Newsroom with Andrew and Beth.
Hello everyone, Patrick Christys here.
I'm Michelle Chu, Britain's News Channel.
Access the stories that matter to you. Take the GB News family with you on any device. And as long as you have an internet connection, tune in to GB News anywhere on the planet or beyond. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
So he can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays, here only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m, only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace Saturday nights from 6 p.m, only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
At GB News, we love to hear from you, our loyal community. So drop us a line at gbnews.com/your say. There you can talk to each other and also to the presenters live on air. gbnews.com/your say, because GB News is your channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. Welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Aquia. Now, I want to talk about a story that alarmed me when I read it this morning, and it's all about the dreaded diversity, equality and inclusion, DEI. Now, the Telegraph had a very in-depth piece about what one current NHS employee called deep-rooted wokery in the NHS, in the health service, which the article said is sowing division. Now, it gave examples of radiographers asking men if they're pregnant and workers going on anti-racism training, which costs a lot of money. The NHS spends an estimated £40 million a year on dedicated DEI roles. Now, I'm joined by Victor Olisa, who's the former head of diversity and inclusion at the Metropolitan Police. Victor, look, I know it's well-meaning, the DEI initiative, but do you think it's taken a bit of a life of its own now and become a monolith and something that actually creates division and does exactly the opposite of what it's meant to do?
Good evening, and thank you for inviting me on. I think as long as we still continue to have issues of disproportionality, issues of discrimination, issues of difference that hinders people in able to use their skill, their ability to work in whatever profession that they're in, and in this case we're talking about the NHS, I think that's a problem. That's a problem because we don't get the people with the most qualified skills and ability to work in the areas that we need them to work. Now, I read the article that you talked about. The article, in essence, talks about the implementation of EDI policies, not that EDI in itself is not required. So we need to address that. And I guess in that sense, the way that's been implemented by some people, which is described in the article as dogmatic, that would be inaccurate, unnecessary and unwise in any situation, not just an EDI situation.
Isn't that the problem with it, though? DEI, it's become, right, it's compartmentalised people. So instead of bringing everybody together, it's, oh, well, you need to pretend that we're all the same. So, for example, just to make sure that people who are trans are happy, you are going to ask a 60-year-old male, who is clearly a male, whether he's pregnant or not. Do you see what I mean?
I do know what you mean. And I guess we need to recognise that over the past, the NHS has been sued for actually not being sensitive. So it moves completely the opposite direction. They ask the obvious questions where discretion would be the better way to deal with those situations. If you see, as an example, using a 60-year-old male about to have a scan, and the process says you've got to ask every single person that comes in if they've ever been pregnant, you think common sense will prevail in there to say, yeah, this is what the board is asking me, but I'm not going to ask that because it's totally unnecessary. So we've got to add that common sense practicality to the very necessary requirement to try and be as equitable as possible. I mean, just to take your phrase, we're not all the same. And an EDI, DEI should not treat everybody the same because that's not the way it works. The complexity is actually recognising people's needs and lived experience and trying to actually then tailor it so you get the best from their experience.
All right, Victor Elisa, we have to leave it there. He's the former head of diversity and inclusion at the Metropolitan Police. Thank you so much. Right, well, in response to the comments about people working in DEI jobs and also training for NHS staff, a spokesperson for the NHS said, whilst NHS trusts are legally required to eliminate unlawful discrimination, training for this must be evidence-based and supportive of all staff. The NHS is fully committed to using every penny of taxpayers' money wisely, with services set to find £900 million of corporate back-office savings by the end of 2025, and this includes reducing the number of equality and diversity roles in the health service, with money reinvested into frontline care for patients. And regarding the Telegraph, it referred to as anti-racism training, a York and Scarborough Teaching Hospitals NHS Foundation Trust said the course content is informed by lived experience and uses recognised terms within the context, including white privilege. Right, next up, Sir Keir Starmer's popularity ratings are on the slide.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption. Boxed Boiler sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Whilst tomorrow is going to be quite warm and humid across parts of the southeast, a bigger talking point perhaps is a stalling band of rain that's going to continue to linger across some parts of northern England and parts of Wales, all due to this trailing front that's going to hang around for a little while yet. So outbreaks of rain overnight across, yes, northern England, parts of North Wales, pushing into some southern parts of Scotland as well. There will also be a bit more rain over northern parts of Scotland too, but elsewhere actually a lot of dry weather, some clear skies as well. Towns and cities, yes, generally holding up in the mid-teens Celsius, but some rural spots could just about dip into single figures. And then through tomorrow morning, a bit of a damp start across some parts of Scotland, the far north for example, but that rain and the more blustery winds will be clearing away through the morning. Then a few showers across western Scotland, but many places starting the day dry here, similar across Northern Ireland. However, southern parts of the Borders area and also northern parts of England a bit wet with some outbreaks of rain, and similar across parts of northwest Wales. Elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, it's a largely dry start and there will be some decent sunshine around as well. And then we end up with this sort of three-way split in our weather. Still this trailing, lingering front across parts of northern England, southern Scotland and the far tip of northwest Wales, and that rain could pep up at times as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere it's looking largely dry, often bright and sunny, and in the southeast pretty humid with temperatures peaking around 26 or 27 Celsius. That front continues to linger in a similar area as we go through into Saturday, although it will have pushed a little bit more across parts of central and southwestern England and across much of Wales. High rainfall totals building up. Some places could see up to 100 millimetres, so some impacts as a result of that. The more unsettled weather does clear away as we go through into Sunday and Monday, so things drier by then.
Expect warm spells with the odd rude interruption.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
No,
Because the failure is...
You're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff. Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood. So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m, only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News,
the People's Channel,
Britain's news channel.
Mornings don't have to be tiresome, especially if you have the right company.
Wake up to news as it happens, opinion and debate, and of course, a little bit of entertainment too.
Because when the kettle's on, we're on.
That's Breakfast on GB News, a show worth waking up for.
Every morning from 6 a.m.
Only on the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
We'll spread the news, you spread the word.
Miriam, you can't be serious. Scrapping the triple lock on state pensions? Madness.
Andrew, we just can't carry on pretending. The numbers just don't add up. We've got to be honest with people. We've got to face the facts. That's what people want.
Well, that's what you get on GB News and on Britain's Newsroom. Lively debates, lively conversation.
Britain deserves a newsroom that puts the facts and your voice first, and we're not afraid to hold power to account.
And each other. So join me, Andrew Pearce.
And me, Miriam Gates, for Britain's Newsroom, weekdays from 9:30 on GB News.
The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Nana Acquia. Tonight, as Donald Trump heads back to the United States after a highly successful state visit, I'll ask, has his visit helped Sir Keir Starmer rescue his job after a series of disasters? And speaking of which...
For the very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order.
But all of them? Woohoo! I don't think that can be true, but wait with bated breath. Fair play to the Prime Minister. The so-called one-in, one-out deal with France is finally working. Yes, we've managed to deport one small boat migrant. Also on the way, I'll bring you the sickening story of the convicted Islamic terrorist who claimed asylum in the UK and went on to rape a woman in central London. And there's the stories making the front pages of tomorrow's papers, as on my panel tonight, Conservative MP Esther McVey, former Labour advisor Matthew Larser and political commentator Chloe Dobbs. Let's get cracking. Has Donald Trump helped to save Sir Keir Starmer's job? Next.
Very good evening to you from the newsroom. The top story tonight at 10. Well, Donald Trump has left the UK after his second state visit, but not without fresh controversy. Speaking to reporters on Air Force One, he's revealed he personally asked that London's Mayor Sadiq Khan not be invited to the state banquet. Trump branded Khan one of the worst mayors in the world, accusing him of failing on crime and immigration. Well, aside from those comments, earlier US President Trump urged Sir Keir Starmer to take a tougher line on illegal immigration, even suggesting military involvement. Speaking alongside the Prime Minister, he said uncontrolled migration destroys countries. He praised, though, his own record, claiming the US went from millions crossing illegally to zero in the past 3 months.
It doesn't matter if you call out the military, it doesn't matter what means you use, but it's going to destroys countries from within. And we're actually now removing a lot of the people that came into our country. It's a very hard chore. We were given a very, very bad hand. Millions of people came in from prisons and mental institutions. We have to remove them. And we are removing them. We have no choice, and I feel very strongly about it.
An Eritrean man will be deported to France tomorrow after losing a High Court bid to block his removal under the government's one-in, one-out scheme. He arrived by small boat last month, but the judge ruled there was no serious issue to be tried over his claims of being a trafficking victim. The court found his credibility was severely damaged after giving differing accounts of his journey through Europe. It follows the first migrant deported under the scheme this morning, an Indian man flown to Paris. Well, returning to the press conference earlier today at Chequers, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said Britain fiercely protects free speech. But he says there is a line when it incites real harm. He said freedom of speech is a founding value that the UK will always protect. GB News presenter Bev Turner, though, pressed him on disagreements with Donald Trump and raised concerns over reports of thousands of arrests each year under communications laws.
I draw a limit between free speech and the speech of those that want to peddle paedophilia and suicide social media to children, and therefore I'm all for free speech. I'm also for protecting children from things that will harm them, paedophiles, those that peddle suicide, which has had a terrible consequence for individual, particularly teenagers. And so that's the balance we strike.
In other news tonight, UK interest rates have held at 4%, with the Bank of England warning we're not out of the woods yet, as inflation rises nearly twice its target. 2 members of the bank's 9-strong committee voted for a cut, but the governor said any future moves must be gradual and cautious. The bank expects inflation to fall back to 2%, though food costs remain stubbornly high. All eyes now turn to Rachel Reeves' budget in November, with pressure mounting over Britain's growing debt bill. 3 people have been arrested in Essex on suspicion of spying for Russia. A 41-year-old man, 46-year-old man and a 35-year-old woman were detained, all 3 arrested under the National Security Act on suspicion of assisting a foreign intelligence service and later released on bail. Counter-terror police say foreign recruitment in the UK is on the rise, echoing MI5 warnings about Russia's GRU using proxies for sabotage and arson. The Wagner mercenary group, proscribed as a terrorist organisation just last year, has already been linked to an arson attack on a Ukraine-related warehouse in London. And Donald Trump has doubled down on his attacks against late-night host Jimmy Kimmel, calling him a whack job and suggesting TV networks in the US could have their licences revoked. Speaking aboard Air Force One, he praised the American regulator's chairman as outstanding and said it would be up to him whether licences are taken away. The row comes after ABC suspended Jimmy Kimmel Live indefinitely following the comedian's remarks about political activist Charlie Kirk's killing. Mr. Trump has welcomed the decision. Democrats, though, accuse him of abusing power and threatening free speech. Those are the headlines. I'll be back with you in an hour. Now, though, let's get back to Nana.
Will this week be enough to save Sir Keir Starmer? Today, we witnessed what I would describe as a very cordial, civil meeting with President Trump and Sir Keir Starmer. A new tech deal was announced.
Leaders who respect each other, leaders who genuinely like each other. And it comes down to our unique relationship on defence, the closest the world has ever seen.
It's a great honour. Hey, hold that up. Yeah.
On the question of immigration, this is what he had to
We
say.
struck the returns arrangement with France, and notwithstanding the challenges to that scheme, which you've seen in the last few days, a flight went off at 6:15 this morning, successfully returning someone under that scheme.
And on the question of energy?
I think it is a challenge to Europe. There are a number of European countries which are too reliant on energy from Russia. The UK actually obviously has almost got nothing at all, but we do need to bear down and work with our European counterparts here. There are one or two countries, I think, that do need to look again at the question of energy.
And this was Sir Keir Starmer's response when questioned about Hamas.
Well, let me be really clear about Hamas. They're a terrorist organisation who can have no part in any future governance in Palestine. And what happened on October the 7th was the worst attack since the Holocaust. We have extended family in Israel. I understand firsthand the psychological impact that that had across Israel. So I know exactly where I stand in relation to Hamas. Hamas, of course, don't want a two-state solution. They don't want peace. They don't want a ceasefire. So I'm very clear where I stand on Hamas.
And on the Lord Mandelson issue, Donald Trump swerved it.
The elephant in the room, Lord Mandelson, he is no longer the ambassador. Do you have some sympathy with him that he lost his job over historic links to Jeffrey Epstein? Thank you very much, sir.
I don't know him, actually. I had heard that, and I think maybe the Prime Minister would be better speaking of that. That was a choice that he made, and I don't know. What is your answer to that?
Well, I mean, it's very straightforward. Some information came to light last week which wasn't available when he was appointed, and I made a decision about it, and that's very clear.
Yes, very good, Donald. So has Sir Keir Starmer done enough to save his own skin for now? Well, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Conservative MP Esther McVeigh, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and former Labour Party advisor Matthew Laza. So I had to fly in on my cape.
Oh, I love that. Superpowers.
Superwoman. Wonder Woman.
So there we have it. Sir Keir Starmer, I thought that was a very civil meeting, don't you think? It was very cordial, and they were very nice to each other, and there were some touches here, and then there was a return touch there, and it was all... It was a bit sickly, really. I was hoping for a bit more. But Esther McVeigh, what did you think?
Well, to be fair, he put him down both on energy and inflation and also immigration. But on other matters, he didn't speak. He thought, I won't speak on this. So it could have been far more fractious, but it wouldn't. But are Starmer's troubles behind him? Absolutely not. Because once Trump leaves, all of the issues that were with Starmer are still there. So, did he mislead the House over Mandelson? Yes, I think he does. So he'll have to come and do something about that. Is the economy still a disaster with Reeves in charge? Yes, not got any growth, unemployment rising. So that's still a problem. Immigration still a problem. And of course, his deputy leader, of which he has to have a new one, because Angela Rayner had to resign over her tax affairs. And what did he do? He tried to get a Starmer ally to be the deputy leader, and instead it is the anti-Starmer person, Lucy Powell, who's going to probably win the position.
Really, do you think?
Oh, well, at the moment, that's the way it's looking. So, really, I think Starmer's toast. It's whether it's today, next week, or in a few months' time. So, no, his troubles are still here.
He can't last until the May elections. Isn't that what he's the mayoral elections or something?
Yeah, with Scotland and Wales in May. I think he will definitely survive till then, but whether he survives after them, I think, is the question. It'll be a question for Kimmel, because I think both Labour and the Tories are going to take a hammering as things stand in those Scottish and Welsh elections. Look, I think he had a good 48 hours. I think the country had a good 48 hours, actually. You know, I think it's... so that... I'm pleased about that. Is it going to transform his poll ratings? Absolutely not. He's going to have to seem to deliver on bread and butter issues. But you know, it could have been a lot worse. I'm not sure it could have been much better. So, therefore, they will be talking this up as a triumph after a fortnight of the complete opposite.
Even from you, though, as a former Labour advisor, do you feel he's the right person to lead the Labour Party?
I think he needs. I think he needs to up his game, and I think the people around him need to up their game. I think that what's gone on over the last few weeks is clearly not sustainable. And he's got a big opportunity. He's got the party conference. His speech is in just under 2 weeks' time. A lot is riding on that because he needs to regain the confidence of the party. And look, they're doing silly things like Lucy Powell, who may well win the deputy leadership, was in the cabinet, but he sacked her. He basically only sacked 2 people. One of whom he thought he had to give a job to because he didn't square Scotland off. And Lucy Powell, who's now potentially going to be his deputy leader, making for some awkward conversations. A bit of an Orcs moment there where the person you sacked is going to may get the job.
I was quite going to intervene there and say was that reshuffle was like the dying days of Theresa May. That reshuffle was like the dying days of Boris Johnson. It was a disaster, and that's how I know he's on the skids.
Yeah, I mean, just on that point, it is clear from the reshuffle that there is just no talent whatsoever in the Labour Party. I mean, the cabinet before the reshuffle looked pretty dire, and then when you think, who can we have as the deputy leader of the party, and the best you can come up with is David Lammy. And Rachel Reeves, I mean, she's been on the ropes for a long time, but we think, who else is talented enough to replace her? And it's hard to point to anybody that's got the experience. On the Trump visit, I think that this was the best it could be for Starmer, because although it hasn't completely drawn a line under the Mandelson saga, it did have a bit of a pause, caused a bit of a pause about Mandelson. So I think that was good, and Trump was very behaved not to have too much of a go at Starmer. And also, Starmer got a lot of good tech deals out of that. They had all these tech leaders at that expensive banquet, and I think that probably was a good investment. And his relationship with Trump is kind of the only thing that Starmer has going for him. And at a time where everyone's pointing at Starmer and saying everything is going wrong for you, you can't do anything right, he can at least look at this and point to this and say, I'm doing well when it comes to our relationship.
And I think we don't know what those deals are yet. You don't know what he's given away to get those deals because he was so desperate. He's never done a good deal in his life. Chagos was a disaster. Most people said if Trump could have done anything decent for him over this visit, it would have been to try and stop Chagos. So I would just like to see what he has given away from this country. Maybe all of the data of all of its citizens for those IT, AI companies, and the energy. Where are we going to get from to do those data centres, which take lots of it? Have we done a deal to buy American energy? So I really would question a decent set of deals. I think he's so desperate he'd do anything.
He's not very good at deals, let's be honest. I mean, he's done... Well, it's no good deals at all. I mean, the French, the one in, one out, that's disastrous.
That's an out.
17 in, and then it's like, it's about 1 in 17 if one
what I'm interested to see is, do the French send 50 a week over to us, even if we haven't managed to send 50 a week their way? Because we know that the French ignore
it is a 1 in, 1 out.
No, I think Chloe hits a very good point there, because we don't know.
We don't, but I mean...
waiting to come across, because they've been told it's 50 a week.
They would assure us they would assure us that it literally is 1 in, 1 out. It is ping pong.
I think we put a big question mark over that. I think Chloe raises a very good point there. Just because we never managed to get them out doesn't mean it stops France bringing them in. So like I said, it was never a 1 in, 1 out. It was a swap and more coming into the UK.
Yeah, but he also said that he was going to detain all Channel migrants. Does he mean all of them? Or does he mean just the one?
I mean, I think what we saw yesterday is Shabana Mahmood, who's the new Home Secretary, is the Justice Secretary, has already run into trouble with the Liberal left for saying that the guy yesterday who used slavery and trafficking as the excuse for not being sent back to get a stay of deportation from the courts. She's attacked that and pushed back. The Liberal left are pushing on that. I think she's determined to be pretty firm because, frankly, it is make or break for the government. If the government doesn't sort it, it's not going to get re-elected.
And I think the new Home Secretary actually is wanting to do the right thing. But the sad thing is the person in charge is Starmer. The other person in charge is Lord Hermer, as in the Attorney General. They're both human rights lawyers, internationalists, and they won't allow her to do what she wants. So she'll be hung out to dry. And I
think it's a big test for Starmer, whether he sides with her or he sides with Lord Hermer, who this week said that human rights were a major driver of economic growth. Even I didn't quite understand, get that.
What a load of rubbish. He was trying to say we'd be trusted on the judicial front when we know that isn't the case whatsoever.
But, I mean, what's been clear from this policy is that nothing can happen if we don't leave the ECHR. Labour are never going to do it, so don't expect anything until 2029.
And it's a Human Rights Act as well, which embeds it into UK law, and he's never going to get rid of that.
Well, we'll see about that. Maybe the British Republic will get rid of him first. But time now for the Great British Giveaway at your chance to be our biggest prize winner to date. It's worth over £104,000. Here are the details.
It's our biggest, greatest Great British giveaway to date. Your chance to win a prize package worth over £104,000. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primero motorhome. With thanks to Marquis Leisure, this 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas, sky view roof lights, and has all the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure any adventures in your motorhome are taken in style.
For another chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message. Or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. The winner will be contacted live on GB News, week commencing 10th of November. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand. Good luck.
Good luck indeed, but tomorrow's front pages will be with you shortly, plus...
For the very first time, migrants arriving via small boat will be detained and returned to France in short order.
Does he mean all of them? Fighting talk from the Prime Minister 2 months ago, but so far the so-called one-in, one-out deal with France is proving to be as successful as the efforts to smash the gangs. This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akwe, only on GB News.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live starts Monday night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
GB News Breakfast. Every day from 6 a.m.
She's got it all wrapped up, hasn't she?
Yeah, £2,000 worth of gifts all set to go under the tree. I admire people who go out to the Christmas Eve and buy all their presents.
Oh, so it's hellish. It's hellish.
Have you done that?
I have done it once or twice, yeah.
Oh, dear.
So you have to buy for so many people, the dog, the cat, your partner. I mean, honestly.
It's never ending.
Never ending.
I mean, I've tried stockpiling before, and then when it comes to Christmas Eve, I'd get everything out thinking I've got loads and loads and loads. And I feel like I haven't got enough, and then I end up panic buying.
I like the whole festive period. It's my birthday 2 weeks before Christmas, so I like doing the shopping when the trees are up and the lights are out, and it's like, you know, proper Christmas vibe to it. It just feels wrong doing it so far in advance.
So you're Sagittarius?
Yeah.
What day do you? I'm the 16th.
I'm just before you. I'm the 11th.
Oh.
That's my granny's birthday.
I know.
Nice date. Yeah. Do you like to shop physically in person in the shops? Would you do it online?
Normally, all year round, I absolutely loathe shopping, absolutely loathe it with a passion. But I do like Christmas shopping. I like buying stuff for other people.
Oh, that's nice.
Do you? And toys for your husband.
And toys for my husband. Yeah, we're talking about Christmas toys as well, weren't we, earlier on?
Yeah.
And the thing I was saying to Biggins is about sort of like buying toys for grown men.
Yes.
But my husband is at that age now where he's reliving his past, and I want to buy him the little toys he couldn't afford when he was a kid.
So what sort of toys are we talking?
Little cars he couldn't... Not that, no. Don't go back to that conversation.
What, like some electric?
The little cars he couldn't afford when he was a little boy. They were little Tonka toys, and
yeah,
he couldn't afford them when he was a kid. He had second.
Is it Hot Wheels?
Yeah.
Hot Wheels.
Hot Wheels.
Hot
rods.
Hot rods.
Hot Wheels.
Carry on up GB News breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
Hot rods are the big racing cars, aren't they?
Yeah, very big.
Hot Wheels.
GB News, the People's Channel.
From the school run to the home run, watch a new show for all of Britain.
He can say whatever he wants.
A straight-talking show where all voices are heard.
And, you know, when are we going to stop talking about smashing the gangs and actually do it?
With the stories that matter from every part of our country.
There's a bit of a crash landing there for your Chancellor.
Bold, fearless and standing up for you. That's me, Martin Daubney, 3 p.m. till 6 p.m, weekdays here only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. More than 31,000 migrants have crossed the English Channel this year, but don't worry, because the government has finally deported one, under its new partial returns deal with France. A man, yes, one man, who arrived in the UK by small boat last month was put on a flight to France this morning, and a migrant from Eritrea is set to be deported tomorrow after losing a High Court bid to have his removal temporarily blocked. The news broke as well as it emerged that an Egyptian asylum seeker who was jailed for raping a woman is a convicted Islamic terrorist. Abdul Rahman and Abnan Abula was convicted of being part of a bomb-making cell in Egypt and jailed for 7 years in 2015. Earlier this week, he was sentenced to 8.5 years in prison for the rape, which happened in central London last November. Well, I'm joined now by human rights lawyer David Hay. David, welcome to the programme. Now, look, I just want to find out why these people are able to have continual appeals at our expense. Is there no limit to the number of times someone can appeal if their asylum claim is rejected?
Good evening, Anna. I think it's always very easy for people to blame the lawyers in this case, but I think the simple situation is that the laws are there and they still haven't been changed. And whether you're looking at I won't use the word gentleman, but the rapist that's just been convicted, or whether you're looking at people basically putting up objections to going to deported under the one-in, one-out scheme, whichever it is, you've got lawyers using existing laws, and these laws have been causing these problems for years and haven't yet been changed by any of the governments, whether it's the Labour government or the Conservative government before. So until laws are changed, things are not going to change. We're going to see more and more of these cases, and more focus is being put on these cases. So you're going to see it every day. Nothing's going to change.
Well, in the case of this guy who raped this woman, and of course as part of a bomb-making cell, I'm not going to repeat his name because I don't think he even deserves a repeat. He's only been given 8.5 years in prison for rape. Surely that's way too low.
I completely agree with you, and I think the worst thing here is that 8 years is going to get reduced. Obviously, so they will be out after a few years. And I would predict, and I hate to give people ideas, but I would predict that his lawyers will then raise concerns about if he is to be deported to Egypt, that he will suffer all sorts of things, and then that his deportation will get cancelled. This I would predict. So I would bookmark that. That is what will happen, I think, in this case. These are, I'm a human rights lawyer, obviously, and, I want to genuinely protect those that genuinely need our help and whose lives are at risk. But the problem is our laws are being abused. So the people that actually need our help are not getting it, and the people that don't are abusing it. And I think, we need a proper grown-up conversation about human rights and a complete rethink. But that's not palatable for a lot of human rights lawyers.
Should we leave the ECHR?
I think, I would rather we don't. I would rather fix it first. And if it can't be fixed, then leaving obviously is the only option. But I think we should have a try at fixing it first. And I don't think we've effectively done that. But I think that's if it can't be fixed, which I think it potentially could, then yes, we should leave.
And what about when the one-in, one-out? How feasible is that? Because, we've got these flights, literally nobody's going. They're again appealing and then they can carry on. Is it feasible? Keir Starmer's saying he's going to detain everyone who comes in via small boat. I don't know whether he really means everyone. Does he mean people in the one-in, one-out, or everyone? But is that possible? Is that legally possible?
I think that's the thing. We don't actually know what he means because, I also heard, I think it was a few weeks ago when he said everyone that comes out, he said he will detain people, implying it's everyone. But we know that this scheme is limited to a very small number. So clearly it isn't going to be everyone. So already there's confusion over that. Now, one of the issues that I have here with the Labour government is that, we see it with the new Home Secretary making statements and, very vigorous statements, so obviously playing to the crowd, as it were, that they should have, for instance, with the last minute attempt to stop a deportation under the modern slavery laws, They should have foreseen this. It was inevitable this was going to happen, much like the Asylum Hotel. It was inevitable that was going to happen. The Home Office is just, and the politicians are leaving things to the last minute or not doing their job properly, on top of all the other problems you've got. And this is why we're having this mess. There's, the foresight, it simply isn't there, and it should be. These are, at the end of the day, I think it was Esther McVeigh that pointed out, Keir Starmer and Lord Homer are human rights lawyers.
But even I could see that the one in, one out was not going to work, and there'll be numerous appeals. David Hay, thank you very much. Really good to talk to you. He's a human rights lawyer. Thank you so much. Right, stay with me next, because we'll tell you what the paper's made of Sir Keir Starmer's meeting with Donald Trump, and stay tuned to find out which big-name politician is being accused of running a sexist boys' club. This is Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Akwe, only on GB News.
I forecast a perfect holiday in the sun.
Weather looking good then?
For sure, and no worries about our travel insurance.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
A northerly breeze bringing a slightly cooler feel to some of the Greek islands for the next day or so. Meanwhile, in the Canaries, temperatures above average, over 30 degrees through Friday and Saturday. 1 or 2 showers over northern Spain, but most of the beaches dry, fine and sunny, and some lovely sunshine to be had across Italy. Sunny in Greece. As I said, there is a bit of a breeze blowing. Temperature will be rising in Santorini as we go through the weekend. At the same time, we'll see those temperatures dropping off a bit in Tenerife.
All Clear Travel Insurance sponsors GB News Travel Destinations forecast.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Whilst tomorrow is going to be quite warm and humid across parts of the southeast, a bigger talking point perhaps is a stalling band of rain that's going to continue to linger across some parts of northern England and parts of Wales, all due to this trailing front that's going to hang around for a little while yet. So outbreaks of rain overnight across, yes, northern England, parts of North Wales, pushing into some southern parts of Scotland as well. There will also be a bit more rain over northern parts of Scotland too, but elsewhere actually a lot of dry weather, some clear skies as well. Towns and cities, yes, generally holding up in the mid-teens Celsius, but some rural spots could just about dip into single figures. And then through tomorrow morning, a bit of a damp start across some parts of Scotland, the far north for example, but that rain and the more blustery winds will be clearing away through the morning. Then a few showers across western Scotland, but many places starting the day dry here. Similar across Northern Ireland. However, southern parts of the borders area and also northern parts of England a bit wet with some outbreaks of rain, and similar across parts of northwest Wales. Elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, it's a largely dry start, and there will be some decent sunshine around as well. And then we end up with this sort of three-way split in our weather. Still this trailing, lingering front across parts of northern England, southern Scotland and the far tip of northwest Wales, and that rain could pep up at times as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere it's looking largely dry, often bright and sunny, and in the southeast pretty humid with temperatures peaking around 26 or 27 Celsius. That front continues to linger in a similar area as we go through into Saturday, although it will have pushed a little bit more across parts of central and southwestern England and across much of Wales. High rainfall totals building up. Some places could see up to 100 millimetres, so some impacts as a result of that. The more unsettled weather does clear away as we go through into Sunday and Monday, so things drier by then.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk then?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
The fact has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints. How many fingers have I got up?
About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
You want to know what's really going on in the corridors of power? Labour don't know what to do with you half the time, and that makes you quite lethal in the chamber. Get behind the headlines with Chopper's Political Podcast. Join me, Christopher Hope, as I sit down with the great and the good of British politics. We'll see where this ruling takes us. These are the stories shaping our nation. Chopper's Political Podcast, available now on all platforms. Listen in and stay ahead.
Welcome Welcome back to Patrick Christys tonight with me, Nana Aquia. Right, let's take a look at tomorrow's front pages. We'll start with The Sun. The Sun leads with use the troops to stop the boats. Sir Keir Starmer was yesterday told to bring the military in to stop illegal migration. And then in The Guardian, use the military to stop channel crossings, tells Sir Keir Starmer. Trump tells Starmer. And actually at the bottom there, it's a sneaky little story about Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana, a clash over their new party. Surprise, surprise. And then The Independent, leading with, again, all of this on their front page. Trump tells the Prime Minister, use the military to stop the boats. I've been saying that for ages. And then Chequers mates in the Metro. Very good, very clever. Press and Prime Minister show off togetherness. We want to be together. Do you remember that advert? What was that for? All right, let's get the thoughts of my panel. Conservative MP Esther McVey, also political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and former Labour advisor Matthew Laza. Chloe Dobbs, we'll start with you. Use the troops to stop the boats on the front cover of The Sun. Could have told him that.
I know. I mean, if Trump was in charge of the UK immigration policy, I can assure you there wouldn't be a single boat coming. But the reality is that Labour, they just haven't got the will to do it. I mean, we have to leave the ECHR to be able to do the tough things that we need to stop the boats coming. But Labour are never going to do it with Trump. But Trump certainly would. I mean, we put all these resources into having Border Force pick up the boats in the centre of the channel. They only need to make it halfway, and then they give them a ferry ride all the way back home. And then they have this vessel that's apparently $6,000 a day to run to pick up the empty dinghies and pick them up and take those away. If we've got all of that manpower and money, why can't we use that to actually put military out there or demand Border Force actually turn the boats around or put them all on a ferry there and send that ferry back to France? There's so many things that we could do, but Labour just don't have the backbone to do it.
John Healey said something very exciting when he said that he's going to use the military, but it turned out he's going to use the military bases to house the migrants. Great. Well done, mate. Esther McVey.
Well, I think it's interesting. We've got 4 front pages here, and 3 of them are about the immigration problem in the UK. So when everybody said, was this couple of days going to make everything fine for Starmer? Was he going to survive? Were we going to forget all his failings? No, because the goodbye message from Trump was a little bit of a bombshell, pointing out significantly what he has not achieved or accomplished in stark contrast to what Trump has. So I think that's a very bad parting gift, and it just highlights how ineffectual and useless Starmer is.
Well, he also advised Keir Starmer to drill for oil in the North Sea. Yeah. And he said that wind farms are a disaster and an expensive joke. Would you agree with that, Matthew?
I wouldn't, no. I mean, I think wind farms are part of the solution, although I do think that so is using some with North Sea oil and gas as well. They've got a big decision, the government, coming up, actually, about whether to overturn a court sort of sanctioned rethink about an oil and gas licence that was given under the Tories. I think that Ed will be saying no, but I know that a lot of pressure will be coming, particularly from the unions, to say yes. I think they will say yes. So that might put a smile on Trump's face. But yeah, I mean, look, every day is a reminder that if the government doesn't get a grip on immigration, it's going to remain languish in the polls as it is at the moment.
I quite like the picture of Melania and Princess Catherine, both, I think, wearing a Ralph Lauren, which I think is Meghan's favourite. Oh, dear.
Oh.
Let's take a look at The Guardian then. Now, this is, again, same thing again, use the military to stop channel crossings, Trump tells Starmer. But there is a little story on the front cover, a little bit lower down, about Jeremy Corbyn and Zara Sultana. There's a clash.
Absolutely. Yeah, so your party, as it's called, not your party, but it's... No, they haven't got a name yet. And, in fact, Corbyn is proceeding very cautiously about actually launching it. But Sultana, who let the cat out of the bag on the initial launch before it seemed that all their ducks were in place, to mix my metaphors, has today actually launched a membership thing. So she sent out to the tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people who'd signed up for like to go on the email list. She sent them out a link saying, become a member, pay, how much is it, Chloe? It's 50 quid, is it, or something?
I think it's more than
that. We were just discussing how much it was.
55 or 65 quid.
Anyway,
so
it's for a full one, yeah. And then suddenly Corbyn said, you haven't got the right to do that, you're not authorised, and told anybody who'd already set up a direct debit in the afternoon to cancel it. Yeah, so they've split it down the middle before they've even got a name.
I mean, let's not forget how this party started. You spoke of what Zara Sultana did very lightly. But what actually happened when this party started is there was a Zoom call held where they did a vote as to whether the party will be co-led by Zara Sultana and Jeremy Corbyn or not. And the motion passed, one vote in the call, for them to co-lead the party. But Jeremy Corbyn hadn't agreed to it. And then they announced that the party has been formed and is being co-led by these two. And Corbyn was like, I haven't agreed to co-lead this party. What on earth is going on?
He wants to go on down his allotment.
It's completely insane. This woman thinks she can do whatever she wants without Jeremy Corbyn's permission.
And I think there's another thing, though, and Matthew, you might know this. I sort of get a feeling that Corbyn isn't really fully behind it. He's retired, really. He's sort of playing this and enjoying it. And she's a lot younger, and although we're on the opposite extremes of what we believe in, she's got a lot of fire. And
she's certainly got fire, absolutely.
You know, and I might, you know, think that she is a political fruitcake, but I think she feels let down by Jeremy Corbyn, who's not actually using this moment to get going, and he should.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Jeremy Corbyn, who is, I think, now in his 70s, you know, unlike Trump, who wants to be president, I think Jeremy Corbyn wants to be, you know, chair of the Allotment Society, which is where he spends his time. But interestingly, today, once the "Don't Join" message went out from Corbyn, she's now attacked it as a boys' club. So she's playing the
I hate that whole thing. It's all to do with boys and not girls. No, it was a preemptive move.
So it was a
sexist boy club. So she's crying sexism.
So it is absolutely hilarious.
Corbyn wasn't happy about her creating a whole membership portal without her permission.
So it's your party one and your party two already.
You always want to be a victim to all the left.
Obviously, that it's an old boys.
Absolutely.
He wouldn't want that, would he?
Yeah, no. I mean, and so they don't think there's room for Zara Sultana's ego and the people around Corbyn, because I think people around Corbyn want Corbyn to do it, but I'm not sure he's convinced that it's a mess.
There's not enough room for both of their egos, I think. What about, and I'll have a look at another story on here, the first deportation made via one-in, one-out deal. Now, surely this is a celebration, right? One out. How many in? How many have we had so far?
I think since Yvette Cooper announced it, it's about 5,000 who's come in. But I do maintain this is the biggest con ever. Yeah. Nobody is going out anywhere because they are replaced immediately. So it's knout out. So that is a swap. Let's call it a swap. One person goes out and we swap it for somebody else. And it's a tiny number in comparison to the thousands as well that are coming in. I think this is another, all this sort of Starmer government has ever done is played fast and loose with words and not lived up to them.
What do you think Keir Starmer meant when he said that all migrants who come via dinghy will be detained? Because I did a monologue the other day saying detain them, because I think they should be, frankly, because we don't know who they are. But do you think it means all of them, or do you think it just means the one in, the one out?
I think he was using his words carefully to make it sound like all of them without being perfectly clear and making it as obvious as can be that he was lying. But we all know he's lying. And I think what I've seen as a running theme throughout this 1 year of this Labour government is they think that we're stupid. They think if they say the right things that we will believe it. Just one example, when they U-turned on the winter fuel payment, they didn't put their hands up and say, oh, we've U-turned because this has been massively unpopular and caused an outrage. They said, we've fixed the foundations of the economy so well that we've now got enough extra cash to hand the winter fuel back to the pensioners. And I'm thinking, do you think the British public are stupid? The stuff that they say to excuse themselves and to, communicate their policies just absolutely infuriates me.
I think you've only got one question to ask Tom. Does he have full confidence in his one-in, one-out deal? If he does, it's finished.
It's over.
No, look, I mean, I think that the one-in, one-out policy has not set the heather alight in terms of convincing the public that the issue's being tackled. I think he was saying that John Healey, the Defence Secretary, has said that military bases are going to have to be used. Starmer himself, as we said, has said that people are going to be detained. I think if you're going to get serious, you're actually going to look at having to declare an emergency. I can't remember what the posh word is, but disregard the section of the ECHR that's relevant, and you're going to have to do like the equivalent of the Labour Party in Denmark got really tough on migration and has stayed in office. I think he's going to have to follow Comrades There's example.
What's hilarious is that we've managed to deport more journalists than migrants, because on that flight on Tuesday,
there were a lot of journalists.
I believe there were 15 journalists went on that flight and took the time to go down there, get tickets. They get on the plane and there isn't even a migrant on there, but then they're stuck on the plane. They all had to go to Paris.
Oh, God.
They're just coming backwards and forwards, hoping that they're going to be able to count them out.
All right, well, let's have a look at the front cover of The Independent. then historic state visit in day 2. Trump tells Prime Minister use the military to stop the boats. Trump's advice on day Starmer returns first and only illegal migrant to France in his new scheme. And he says Putin really let me down. So now Donald Trump said that, but obviously, because I suspect, because he had a good relationship with Putin before, that now this is sort of an admission that the technique he was using has not been working.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it looked like it was going to be the art of the deal, but I think that actually that's the most important thing to come out of the state visit, was saying that Putin's let me down, because, you know, we know that he plays hot and cold. You know, he had that nice press conference with Zelensky, but he had that hideous one where we get to end in a shouting match, and we really need him to stand up to him, don't we?
I think, actually, there was a lot of people who were Trump supporters until he had that awful meeting with Zelensky. They were rewriting, or Trump was rewriting history, saying that Zelensky was the aggressor and not Putin and Russia. And people go, gosh, where's this going? He was treating it as if it were The Apprentice or as if it were a property deal, and all of it was wrong. So I think the fact that he has managed to come round and say, basically, in the best way he could, I sort of made a mistake there. And he won't like the fact that Putin possibly did get one over on him. He thought they were two hard boys together in a room, and Putin does what he does best and just times people out.
But he also talked about Hamas and releasing the hostages. And he said that people often forget about October the 7th, and I think people do. They forget how disgraceful and barbaric that was. And then they're just moving on to the next bit. Oh, well, you know, it's terrible what's happening in Gaza. Yes, it is terrible. We can't forget the hostages. Why don't, and Trump focused on release the hostages and alive.
I mean, I think Keir Starmer needs to remember what happened on October 7th, because it seems to me, with his plan to recognise Palestine as a state, that he has forgotten who those barbarians, Hamas, are. I mean, all the focus has been on Israel. Israel's evil. There's barely ever any focus on how evil Hamas
Oh, I think that's a bit unfair, Chloe.
Where was Keir... Although Keir Starmer said, oh, yes, they are a terrorist group, his deal, his plan to recognise them as a Palestinian state, the terms clearly showed this is all determined by whether Israel agrees to a ceasefire, whether Israel decides to stop fighting. Where was the pressure to say, Hamas, you need to lay down your arms, and I am not going to recognise Palestine as a state until the place is no longer run by terrorists? Hamas have been massively weakened by Israel. We need to be putting massive pressure on Hamas to finally lay down their arms and give up. But Starmer's not doing that.
In fact, I thought Trump actually dominated the press conference today when he brought it back to October the 7th. I think it was Robert Peston who asked the question, and he took it back and said, look what happened on October the 7th. You're a professional, I'm a professional, and we saw the brutality that was inflicted on butchering even babies. No, we must remember that, and until those hostages are freed, we won't be doing it. So it was interesting how he changed the dynamic of that whole conference today.
And the big tech deal as well. Checkers mates in the metro. We've got a big tech deal that's happening, aren't we lucky? Was it 340 million or something?
Well, I'm always slightly sceptical, whoever the Prime Minister is, about these big deals that are announced, because suddenly whether the investment ever actually appears is but it's a boost for the government. They had a blow last week when two big pharmaceutical companies said they weren't going to carry on with these research centres they were building, which was one of the government's big hopes for. So that was a blow. I think they've got back on the tech agenda, but time will tell, I fear.
I love the reference to wind farms as an expensive joke.
Don't tell Ed with his ukulele.
Oh, no. Oh, yeah, Ed will be unhappy. I mean, look, I think Trump he's actually trying to help Starmer. He decided not to go and be horrible to him and say, oh, you're ruining your economy with these crazy high energy prices. And with the boats, he wasn't really attacking him. He was just saying, this is what's worked for me. I really think it'd be a good idea if you do this. And I really wish that Starmer would listen to Trump, because Trump has recognised that energy prices are a key determinant of how successful your businesses are, and it's going to be very difficult for us to have any sort of competitive advantage with the goods and services that we export if we have crazy high energy prices.
I just think Trump thoroughly enjoyed being with the King and the Queen and the future King and Queen, and didn't want to ruin the day. And I think he saw Starmer as a bit of an irrelevance, actually, and you could see that in the press conference.
Oh, did you see that picture where Trump is just smiling, all teeth, and Melania's smiling, and then Keir Starmer's on the end? And there was an interesting comment from James Cleverly on X. Go and check that out. But stay with me, because coming up, there's more from tomorrow's front pages. Donald Trump has branded wind farms as an expensive joke and praised North Sea oil. Is it time for us to think the same? Oh, and there's still time to be part of our live audience tomorrow.
Exciting news. Every Friday, my Patrick Christys Tonight Show is going to have a twist to it. We're welcoming some special guests. You. That's right, on Fridays I'm going to be doing my show in front of a live studio audience, because this show is about you and what you have to say. It's going to be the same big debates, same big topics, same big opinions, but every Friday night at 9 p.m. you are invited to come on down to Patrick Christys Tonight to be a part of the action. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB Newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
I'm Michelle Dewberry, and I'm not here to tell you what to think. I'd much rather hear what you have to say. So, send in your opinions to gbviews@gbnews.com. Keep them clean, and you never know, I might read them out. With my panel here on Jubes & Co, we debate, we get stuck into the issues of the day on a show where all views are welcome, especially yours. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
This is GB News, Britain's news channel.
We've been here for a few hours now, and every hour there's just more and more people here coming to celebrate Gibraltar's National Day. You can see all around, it's a sea of red and white, people dressing as the flag. We've got huge flags up, including this massive Union flag, as you can see there, with the Gibraltar flag right in the middle of it. Everybody here today telling us all how proud they are to be Gibraltarian and how proud they are to be British. And one of those is Simi. Simi, you're Gibraltarian, you were alive at the time of that referendum.
Oh yeah.
You know, why is today so important?
Because it's important because we don't want to be any other nation. We've been brought up British. English is our main language everywhere, and our second language is Spanish. So we're very proud of being British and everything that's British with it. You know, the monarchs and the political parties, everything.
And tell us about this rosette as well.
This rosette used to belong to my father, my late father, and he used to wear this on National. This was done on National Day, and I wear it so that my father is close to my heart. For him, it was a very big day.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Simi, for talking to us. And just as you can hear from Simi there, just the sense of how important today is for all these people here celebrating being British.
GB News, the People's Channel.
5 hosts, 5 opinions, 5 fearless debates, 5 unfiltered takes on the day's news.
5 reasons not to be anywhere else on Saturday night.
This is the Saturday 5. You got me good there. Britain's biggest Saturday night TV show.
It's not a bad brand.
Yeah. Uncensored.
Very, very racy tonight.
On the unpredictable.
What did she say? Can you translate it for us?
And always entertaining.
And how can a country go from being led by William Wallace to Saturday nights from 6 p.m. only on GB News, the People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
You're going to want to stay tuned, trust me.
Decisions made in Washington aren't just shaping America, they're shaping Britain too. From migration to global security, from crime to health. Whatever happens in the White House today
will be felt in your town or city tomorrow.
That's why The Late Show is live from Washington, D.C.
Cutting through the politics to show you what it all means for Britain.
The Late Show Live starts Monday night at midnight.
Only on GB News,
Britain's news channel.
And welcome back to Patrick Christys Tonight with me, Nana Aquia. Right, let's take a look at some more of tomorrow's front pages. Right, we start with the Daily Mail. Donald Trump shows PM who's boss. He urges Starmer to use the military to stop migrant boats, brands wind farms an expensive joke, and praises North Sea oil, but says he doesn't know Mandelson and ducks Epstein question. In a Daily Express, Keir given some home truths by Donald. I think he did it very nicely, don't you? He was very civil in the way he did that. And at the very top, actually, there's one about Bjorn Borg reveals his alcohol and drugs battle. Bjorn Borg? Bless
I know, I didn't know that. Yeah.
I didn't realise he was still alive. I'm not joking, I didn't. And then Daily Telegraph leads with there's a story sending the military to stop the boats, but very interesting story just further down about Andy Burnham. Yes, of course, because Labour are hemorrhaging support, and Andy Burnham is kind of dropping hints that he may well be prepared to take on the challenge and try and get into a good position to become leader of the Labour Party. Chloe Dobbs, do you think that Andy Burnham would make a good leader for the Labour Party?
I mean, anyone would be better than Starmer, but I think the idea of him leaving the mayoralty in Manchester and trying to win a by-election in a seat, presumably he'd have to go for one around Manchester, is bonkers and would be a huge win for Reform, because if he leaves the mayoralty in Manchester, Reform are tipped to win it. So Reform could get another mayoralty, and then he could try and run in a by-election in a seat, and then also Reform end up winning it, and him end up with no job whatsoever. So at least for now, I think that it would be a disastrous idea for the Labour Party. But he said in the interview that he's given that it's a no for now, but he never... You know, he's not ruling out the possibility ever. So he might wait until perhaps after the 2029 general election and then swoop in, or maybe wait until just before.
Well, he's already made a couple of previous attempts for the leadership. He came second to Jeremy Corbyn, didn't he, in 2000?
Yes, he did. I would say Andy Burnham is Starmer with a northern accent.
Is it?
He's a chameleon as well. He was a Blairite when he needs to be one. He was a Corbynista when he needs to be one. He will be a Scouser when he needs to be one. He'll go up the M56 and he'll be a Mancunian there. And what are his policies? Nationalisation, expansion of the state, increasing the welfare, and a wealth tax on those with money. So he is exactly the same, only he is weaker, because Corbyn managed to get rid of Andy Burnham, whereas at least Starmer got rid of Corbyn. So I think Corbyn, he's asleep nowadays, we know that, but Corbyn. So I think he's going to be a disaster.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a lot of people are just thinking that he's the white knight who's going to come... I mean, I love the joke about him because he's actually a Scouser, but I'm a Mancunian and he pretends to be one. Absolutely. His accent changes a bit, yeah.
Each time he goes up the M62, but that's what he does all the time, and that's exactly what Starmer did. That's why nobody knew what he stood for, and he's been...
I think that's Andy's problem. Absolutely. I think Andy's problem is that people don't know that he has had a whole range of positions, and at the moment he's pitching it left, because who does he want to appeal to? He wants to appeal to Labour Party members who may think the government hasn't been left-wing enough. I'm not sure that the country feels the same as Labour members, so he could get into difficulties there. I think you're right, Claire. I don't think there's an obvious route for him to come back. I think it's all too risky, so I think it isn't going to happen this side of the general election.
And he never likes to take any difficult questions. This is the man who didn't do the rape gang inquiry in his own patch. This is the man who didn't take responsibility, even though he's a police crime commissioner, for 80,000 crime cases that went missing. I'm afraid he always hides when things get tough.
And those things will certainly come out of the woodwork, and there will be a lot of scandals to deal with if that's the case. But one thing I will say is, at least if he's northern, people will feel like he's not part of the metropolitan London.
But he is. Because he was in SW1. Well, he's only been an MP or a mayor. He's never done another job at all.
Well, we'll just see, shan't we? I don't think he'll risk it, but thank you very much to my fabulous panel, Conservative MP Esther McVeigh, political commentator Chloe Dobbs, and former Labour advisor Matthew Larser. Well, stay tuned. Do not go anywhere, because in just a few moments' time, I'll have lots more stories making the headlines in tomorrow's newspapers. But before that, find out what the weather has got in store.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
Hello again, very good evening to you. I'm here with your GB News weather forecast from the Met Office. Whilst tomorrow is going to be quite warm and humid across parts of the southeast, a bigger talking point perhaps is a stalling band of rain that's going to continue to linger across some parts of northern England and parts of Wales, all due to this trailing front that's going to hang around for a little while yet. So outbreaks of rain overnight across, yes, northern England, parts of North Wales, pushing into some southern parts of Scotland as well. There will also be a bit more rain over northern parts of Scotland too, but elsewhere actually a lot of dry weather, some clear skies as well. Towns and cities, yes, generally holding up in the mid-teens Celsius, but some rural spots could just about dip into single figures. And then through tomorrow morning, a bit of a damp start across some parts of Scotland, the far north for example, but that rain and the more blustery winds will be clearing away through the morning. Then a few showers across western Scotland, but many places starting the day dry here. Similar across Northern Ireland. However, southern parts of the borders area and also northern parts of England a bit wet with some outbreaks of rain, and similar across parts of northwest Wales. Elsewhere across the rest of England and Wales, it's a largely dry start and there will be some decent sunshine around as well. And then we end up with this sort of three-way split in our weather. Still this trailing, lingering front across parts of northern England, southern Scotland and the far tip of northwest Wales, and that rain could pep up at times as we go through the afternoon. Elsewhere it's looking largely dry, often bright and sunny, and in the southeast pretty humid with temperatures peaking around 26 or 27 Celsius. That front continues to linger in a similar area as we go through into Saturday, although it will have pushed a little bit more across parts of central and southwestern England and across much of Wales. High rainfall totals building up. Some places could see up to 100 millimetres, so some impacts as a result of that. The more unsettled weather does clear away as we go through into Sunday and Monday, so things drier by then.
Today's outlook: cool, calm and completely horizontal. Boxed Aircon sponsors the weather on GB News.
It's our biggest Great British giveaway to date. You could be driving away with this brand new Benamar Primera motorhome. This 4-berth home from home comes complete with integrated kitchen and bathroom areas and has all of the tech you'd expect from the latest 2025 model. We'll also give you an incredible £30,000 in tax-free cash to make sure that any adventures you take in your new motorhome are taken in style. For a chance to win, text WIN to 63225. One entry costs £2.50 plus one standard network rate message, or text BONUS to 63225. 5 entries cost £5 plus one standard network rate message. Go to gbnews.com/win. Entries start at £2.50. Call 0903 686 3232. Calls cost £2.50 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and number to GB16 PO Box 8690 Derby DE1 9TT. UK only. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on the 31st of October. Please check the closing time if listening or watching on demand.
Westminster's full of talk, but out here, it's the real world.
Am I allowed to talk now?
No, that's it. This is where it matters, real people and real lives. That's what politics is all about.
In fact, has Trump made a good start? No.
Straight answers, no spin, and just a couple of pints.
How many fingers have I got up? About 10.
So join me for Lee Anderson's Real World every Friday at 7 p.m. only on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
In the GB newsroom, we bring you the news as it happens.
With our team of dedicated journalists across the UK.
We're ready to keep you up to date with what's happening every half an hour, every single day. Bulletins here on GB News.
The People's Channel.
Britain's news channel.
Hi, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and my show is your opportunity to cut through all the noise and dive in headfirst to some robust debates. Ideas clash.
Situation,
no,
isn't it?
No,
because the failure is
you're deliberately avoiding my point. Nothing's held back.
And if you think this is the end of it, wait for more.
And we do not shy away from the difficult stuff.
Sometimes I want to shake people and say, if only you understood.
So join me on Jubes & Co. weeknights at 6 p.m. only on GB News, Britain's news channel.
Westminster, the ultimate clique.
And you're fighting like rats in a sack.
But here on the Camilla Tominey Show, we ask the questions the establishment media is too scared to ask.
OK, let me ask you a straight question, because I know you're a straight-talking politician.
Whether it's net zero, illegal immigration or law and order, nothing is off limits.
You have the power then.
Yeah, as I say, now you've lost it. That's the Camilla Tominey Show, a politics show that's fearless. But no, let me finish my question if you don't mind, because it is my show. Sundays at 9:30, only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Good evening. It's Thursday, the 18th of September. I'm Nana Acquia, and this is Patrick Christys Tonight, Late Edition. President Donald Trump has departed from the UK after an historic state visit over 2 days. We've seen pomp and pageantry, signings of big deals, and an unbreakable bond between the US and the UK, apparently.
And we seem to be hitting new highs, and I think we're going to do much better even as time goes by.
Well, the relationship might be hitting new highs, but the same can't be said for Trump and Sadiq Khan, as the US president says that he's got the London mayor blocked from the state banquet. Plus, Starmer given some hard truths on migration.
You have people coming in, and I told the Prime Minister I would stop it, and it doesn't matter if you call out the military, it doesn't matter what means you use, but it's going to destroys countries from within.
I've never ruled out going back to Westminster, says Andy Burnham. Is this a sign that the Mayor of Greater Manchester is gunning for the Prime Minister's job? Remember this.
Start from the top here with a photo of Brigitte Macron. Real name, Jean-Michel Trogneux. That person that you are looking at on the right is not a woman.
Candice, please, Candice. Well, Brigitte Macron says, I have photos to prove I am a woman, as she files a lawsuit against influencer Candice Owens, presenting photographic evidence to the American court. Oh my, oh my. Well, joining me this evening, the political commentator Chloe Dobbs, political commentator Matthew Stadlen, and the comedian and podcaster Count Dankula. But first, let's get your latest news with Sam Francis.
Very good evening to you. 11 o'clock. The top story tonight. US President Donald Trump has urged Sir Keir Starmer to take a tougher line on illegal immigration, even suggesting military involvement. Speaking alongside the Prime Minister earlier, Mr. Trump said uncontrolled migration destroys countries from within. He praised his own record, claiming the US went from millions crossing illegally to now zero.
It doesn't matter if you call out the military, it doesn't matter what means you use, but it's going to destroys countries from within. And we're actually now removing a lot of the people that came into our country. It's a very hard chore. We were given a very, very bad hand. Millions of people came in from prisons and mental institutions. We have to remove them. And we are removing them. We have no choice, and I feel very strongly about it.
That meeting at Chequers also saw a new UK-US tech prosperity deal with up to £150 billion of investment promised by American firms. Mr. Trump hailed an unbreakable bond between Washington and London. Sir Keir Starmer called it a great day for the so-called special relationship. Well, also at that press conference, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer said that Britain fiercely protects free speech, but warned there is a line when it incites real harm. He said freedom of speech is a founding value the UK will always protect, but he stressed the limit is with people who peddle paedophilia and suicide to children. GB News presenter Bev Turner pressed him on disagreements with Donald Trump and raised concerns over reports of thousands of arrests each year under communications laws.
I draw a limit between free speech and the speech of those that want to peddle paedophilia and suicide social media to children, and therefore I'm all for free speech. I'm also for protecting children from things that will harm them, paedophiles, those that peddle suicide, which had a terrible consequence for individual, particularly teenagers. And so that's the balance we strike.
Also tonight, an Eritrean man will be deported to France tomorrow after losing a High Court bid to block his removal under the government's one-in, one-out scheme. He arrived by small boat just last month, but a judge ruled today there was no serious issue to be tried over his claims of being a trafficking victim. The court found his credibility was severely damaged after giving differing accounts of his journey through Europe. It follows the first migrant deported under the scheme this morning, an Indian man flown to Paris. And Jeremy Corbyn's new political movement has reported itself to the Information Commissioner after what it called a false membership system was launched without authorisation. The party, still branded Your Party, says the data was collected and payments were taken through a rogue portal promoted by Zara Sultana. Mr Corbyn has urged supporters to cancel any direct debits and warned legal advice is being taken. But Ms Sultana insists the site is safe, secure and legitimate, accusing colleagues of running what she described as a sexist boys' club and freezing her out. It is the latest row in what has been a rocky start for the fledgling left-wing party. That's it from me for tonight. Join us again 9:30 tomorrow morning for plenty more from the newsroom. Now, though, it's over to Nana.
Well, good evening and welcome to Patrick Christys Tonight Late Edition. I'm Nana Aquia. Right, let's take a look at the front pages of tomorrow's news. Right, it's on the front cover of The Star. Putin lets me down. This, of course, referring to what Donald Trump said whilst he was in his meeting with Sir Keir Starmer today. And then on the front cover of The Sun, use troops to stop boats. I could have told him that. I think I've been saying that for ages. Front cover of The Guardian leads with use the military to stop channel crossings. Trump tells Starmer. Let's hope he's listening. The Daily Mail, Trump shows Prime Minister who's boss. The front cover of The Independent leads with Trump tells PM use military to stop the boats. There's a theme going on here, isn't there? In The Express, Keir given some hard truths by Donald. And the Metro, which I quite like this one, Chequers mate. The Telegraph says, I have photographs to prove I'm not a woman. No, it's I'm not a man, I think, is the one in the Telegraph. I actually think that's what it meant. Let's get the thoughts on my panel. Political commentator Chloe Dobbs, political commentator Matthew Stadlen, and the comedian and podcaster Count Dankula. I want to start with Brigitte Macron, actually. The Macrons offer photographic evidence to prove Brigitte is a woman. Is not a woman, is what it said on there. But Count Dankula, what do you make of this?
I don't know, I never thought there would ever be a time where there was a nude picture I didn't want to see. I feel bad for everybody in that courtroom, because you know the thing's going to look like a leper that smoked a firework, but...
You can't say that about Bridget, that's not fair. She's not here to defend herself. If she's, you know, she's an older lady. She's 72, isn't she? So come on.
Yeah, she's every right to defend herself in court. I just think it's horrible putting the poor people that work at the court through that, but...
No. Yeah, but do you think Candice has just lost the plot a bit on this one?
No, like the whole accusations of a transgender wife is like that's been around for a while. A lot of people say the same things about Michelle Obama or Big Mike, as we like to call her. But it's, again, if there's our shoulders are broader than mine, she could beat me in a fight. But basically, this is she's probably taller than you as well. Probably is, by the way, yeah. But in regards to this, right, it's something that has gone around for like a little while because Brigitte Macron looks off. I don't know what it is. Like, they look strange. Like, have you ever seen that scene in Mars Attacks where the alien wears the wig? Like, I think that's what she looks like. But
that's not fair. Brigitte Macron's not here to defend herself. I think that's a little bit unfair. I often get told that I look like a man. I don't know why they say that. Do I look like a man? I mean, I did.
Not.
Do you remember the Olympics when there was those weird characters? They did that whole picture of different types of people. One with a black guy with blonde hair, and do you remember that? Everyone said that I was him.
Oh.
Chloe Dobbs, what do you make of this whole?
Probably just haters coming up with any rude comment they could find. You don't look like a man, Nana. I would say Brigitte Macron looks more like a man than you, for sure. But I think realistically, she's probably a woman. But you always have some women who have manly features. Like, I mean, Michelle Obama, as you say, she's got pretty broad shoulders, but she's probably a woman. But you always get these people who go down a rabbit hole online. And also, I mean, Candice is a YouTuber, and I'm quite familiar with the YouTube algorithm, and it's very narrow, and it will typically just give you viewers that agree with you. So when you come out with something stupid, you don't typically get all the backlash in the comments to say, you've gone down the wrong rabbit hole here, you're being an idiot. And so I guess she's maybe living in this echo chamber. And yet I do think she's gone off the rails a bit the past couple of years. She'll take any conspiracy theory and just run with it.
I just think, why attack Brigitte Macron? Like, so what if she, just say she is, so what? I don't care. It's none of my business.
I mean, it's mad because, I mean, I'm pretty sure it's the first time in history that you've got a government suing a podcaster. It's crazy.
Well, she's kind of wealthy, but she might not be after this. Matthew, what do you think, Matthew Stan?
I think it shows the dark power of social media, that the President of France and his wife are taking a conspiracy theorist in America to court. I mean, I've been on this channel nearly 320 times.